Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, Threega and Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. What's up, guys? Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. I'm excited because it's a little bit new format here. We're in person. We've got John McCracken, who's the plant manager at Tactical Kinetics, and Jeff Kaplan, who's the sales manager here as well. So we're going to be talking about barrels, how the company got started, American manufacturing, and some shenanigans along the way, I'm sure. So, guys, thanks for joining me.
Kenzie, thanks for having us.
Yeah, this will be fun. So I didn't know about Tactical Kinetics until we kind of got connected with mutual friends in the industry. And so kind of go backwards to where the company got started. How did you guys, get going?
At a bachelor party.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes,
oh, absolutely. I didn't even know the real story. Okay.
We might have had a little too much to drink.
There is a picture of Kung Fu Kaplan floating around out there.
Is that your nickname?
It's not.
Listeners, Kung Fu Kaplan.
But there was a point where someone said I looked like Ralph Macchio, and I stood on top of a bucket and did
Who's Ralph Macchio?
Have you ever seen Karate Kid?
Yeah, it's been a long time, like once.
Yeah, once.
Okay.
So you're not an 80s child.
No,
so
90s.
we have watched Karate Kid
Yes,
hundreds of times.
Okay.
And there's a scene in the movie where this guy does a crane kick, and I
like this.
like that.
Sure.
And John had a bucket, and I turned it over and did the crane kick off of the bucket.
And we weren't sober.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So after
It
the
was
bucket,
a bachelor party.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. After the bucket, so how does barrels come out of that?
So,
We were staying on a bucket. I mean, it's logical progression.
so John was an engineer, and I had already started this company in 2007. I don't know which one of Ernest's marriages was that?
It was a second marriage.
That was the second marriage.
This has gone progressively downhill.
Yes.
We're
There is some context.
for him.
Yeah.
It had gone progressively
Yeah.
downhill. So one of our friends, it was his bachelor party. I had started my company in 2007. John had a small company machining different parts, and I needed a supplier. So we became John's largest customer.
Over a period of time.
Okay.
We started that business
Okay.
as Turnkey Technical Service, TK.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And so we started buying machine tools because I was supplying Jeff and others, and my deliverable was paper or digital designs. And then eventually, those things need to be made. And that's how we got started. Started in a garage. Bought the first machine tool in 2010, October of 2010.
Okay.
Jeff's selling almost all of the capacity, which was not much at the time. But we did a lot of custom engineering.
Yeah.
And that's how Banyan and Tactical Kinetics and Turnkey got started. And in 2012, Turnkey applied for its FFL and got it. And then we were looking for a trade name, and we all put that together. And then 2015, Turnkey was absorbed by Banyan, which we are today. We're Banyan Global Technologies, doing business as Tactical Kinetics.
Right.
Yeah.
So one machine kind of got it all started.
One machine became two machines.
So I was wondering.
And 1.5 car garage became a 2,500 square foot machine shop.
Where was this out of too? Was it still Tennessee?
All
Knoxville.
Knoxville.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we were North Knoxville before, and then that 2,500 square foot machine shop didn't have enough power. So we were there.
Electricity.
Yeah, electricity.
We couldn't run
Oh my
a
God.
lathe and a mill at the same time. So we moved a couple miles down the road from here into 10,000 square feet. We were co-tenants of a building with a rifle manufacturer that no longer exists. And then we kicked them out of the space because we grew so much that we needed the whole space. That was 11,000 square feet. And now we moved 34. Into these buildings last summer. So June, July of 22.
It's a lot of moving.
It's a lot of moving.
And these machines are light.
So eight years, we've been through 3 different manufacturing sites, and we've gone from 2 employees to 70.
Currently sitting at 70 employees.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like when you were saying you're doing custom orders and stuff, so that was like B2B in the early days. And then when did you start actually becoming like this OEM manufacturer too? Is that way later?
So no, in 2015, we had a contract to manufacture parts for General Electric gas turbine. So big machines, bigger than this room, to make power.
Yeah.
Right. And GE came to visit us, and they said, "Hey, your shop's too small. You don't have enough people. We're not going to buy parts from you.
We're not mature enough."
Correct.
Wow.
So that was 2015 when we had just purchased Turnkey.
Yeah.
And we had nothing to make.
But at that time, Turnkey had also gotten its first contract to make 200 barrels.
Okay.
And we were super excited. It had 200 barrels, 200 lower receivers, which were an FFL, Class 7 FFL, and still are, and 200 muzzle brakes.
Nice.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah.
And that's how we got started.
John, how long did it take us to make those 200 barrels?
A long time. A long time.
But John, how many barrels can we make in an hour right now?
We can make, at this point, a barrel every 2 minutes.
That's awesome. Big difference.
Yes,
correct.
Big difference.
I don't know what a long time means either. Are we talking months?
Months.
Yeah. It was process development. And that's the whole name of the game. That's what you start. And for those who are interested in starting a business, you've got one of a few choices. The way that we have chosen is bootstrapping, which it's our money. It's our mortgages. We buy the machinery, and not all of it's brand new.
Yeah.
We do our own maintenance. And so you take little steps and you move in the right direction. And some of it is luck or divine intervention or in being in the right place at the right time. So 200 turned into 500.
The 200 though, was that, I guess, for another, you said FFL? Like,
It was another small rifle manufacturer.
Okay.
So we went out our way. These were stainless barrels.
They did well.
And did well.
They did well.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And
we bought the blanks.
At the time.
We didn't have gun drilling equipment at the time.
That's
so
right.
we went out and found a really good blank and figured out what kind of tooling we needed to actually make a barrel.
Yeah.
And it was a process. It was
a learning process.
That would be terrifying though to have. I don't even want to know what the machines cost. Tons of money in machining. And how did you learn how to actually use the tools? Like this is pre-YouTube-ish, right? Like this.
No, YouTube was around back then.
Like, okay, well, so then are you reading manuals? Are you watching YouTube? Are you asking experts?
Some of it's education, right? John's a degreed engineer. He got a master's degree in engineering. And I spent my early career learning to make camshafts and crankshafts at Ford Motor Company and then turbine blades at General Electric. So it wasn't like we were new to machining.
Right.
It was just applying those tools to
a new
process. New product.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So it wasn't like from a knowledge standpoint, we knew what we were doing.
Sure.
But we had to
an application standpoint.
Yeah.
And it took a little while, and we've since that time actually we bought our first lathe because we had company that was interested in having us make bicycle hubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
how many bicycle hubs did we make, John?
Oh,
Zero.
So we spent $30,000.
That was a lot of money at the time.
$32,500 on a lathe to make bicycle hubs.
That never happened.
That never happened.
Did you get to use the lathe later?
Nope, we
It's
still
still
have
running.
it. We still have it. We use it every day.
Yeah, we have two of the original pieces of equipment. We bought that. So first piece of equipment that we bought together was that machine, that Mazak that's still on the floor that does the chambering on that 1022 barrel that's sitting in front of you there.
You need me to pick it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
1022.
Kinsey's our hand model today.
That's it.
Our barrel model. So that 1022 is chambered on that Mazak machine, and that machine has made a lot of parts.
It's made a lot of parts.
It's made a lot of barrels. We don't use it as a full production machine. It does a lot of rework, and then specialty items like a chamber on a 1022 are made on that machine.
That's cool. So that's probably the cheapest lathe that you have too now.
At this point.
Yep.
Yes,
ma'am.
It's a good investment.
It is.
All right. So 200 turns into 500. You start getting traction. Like, when did you kind of have that like tipping point of like making it, I guess, in the firearms industry and getting known?
2017.
You just know.
2016.
2016
we were manufacturing. So we were manufacturing lower receivers. We had plans to make upper receivers. We had muzzle brakes and barrels. And we were sitting at SHOT Show in 2017.
Is that your first show?
That was our first. No, one of our other business partners, John, had gone
in 15 and 16.
In 15, 16.
16. Okay.
16. You guys went in 16.
Jeff is the historian of the company.
I'm just sitting here. I'm just.
Yeah. No, okay.
I am the historian,
So
right?
done.
I'm the last of the original partners of Banyan.
Yeah.
So we went to the 2017 SHOT Show, and we were sitting there and we were reviewing our products that we were manufacturing at the time, being barrels, receivers, and muzzle brakes. And really the non-commoditized product in that offering was the barrel. That there wasn't a lot of competition as far as individual barrel makers.
Yeah.
And when we walked around and were talking to different customers at SHOT, we were asking, hey, what parts do you make? And very few of them, the smaller manufacturers, had said barrels. So we're like sitting in a meeting, just like a planning meeting, and I said, okay, let's become the barrel guys.
The shirt that he wore today, guys.
The shirt that I wore today, because I knew I was doing the podcast.
That's awesome.
The barrel guys. So, and when we walk around shows now, we'll say, hey, they're the barrel guys.
Yeah.
So that marketing tagline stuck, and that is still today, all we do is manufacture barrels. But at that point, we were only manufacturing rifle barrels, and then we had a customer ask us. They said, hey, could you make handgun barrels for us? Sure. So a little bit of that to get off the ground. We outsourced some of that manufacturing. We did the design work, and then we outsourced it for a short time, and then started bringing machines in.
And now you have a whole building dedicated to it.
Now we have a building,
which is crazy to think about. That's pretty cool.
Dedicated, right? And everything we're making today is striker fire handgun barrels, but we're moving into the 1911 market. As we sit here right now, we have several requests for quotes to manufacture 1911, 2011 barrels, and I would suspect probably by the end of the year, we'll be making quite a few 2011 barrels.
Nice. Yeah. So for people that don't know, without telling the company names, but you are an OEM manufacturer.
We are.
Like, how large, can you explain to listeners, like how large Tactical Kinetics is? How many of those people probably have your barrels in their gun safes at home?
I would say a lot of folks listening to this podcast have shot our barrels. We tell people we're the largest barrel company you've never heard of.
Yep.
And 98%, 99% of our barrels go to OEM manufacturers and then online retailers that brand our product as their own.
Right.
So we have a very small presence as far as just direct to consumer sales that's driven by our website, and a few of our customers, online retailers, use the Tactical Kinetics name. So again, 99% of our business is selling to other manufacturers.
B2B, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
It's
and
our roots.
your hardest part now is that you can't talk about those because there's a lot of
Correct.
red tape there. So you've got to figure out the B2C. So people listening to the podcast, if you need barrels, you guys manufacture barrels. And we have some of these in front of us. We should kind of talk about like what we've got here. Because I don't think people understand the full width of what value you offer. Threaded, non-threaded, your drop-in stuff for Glocks, SIGs, like you name it.
Correct.
You pretty much make it. I don't know if one of you want to tackle all that.
Right. So there, AR platform, we manufacture a lot of 223 product, 556 NATO, and then up to 450 Bushmaster, 458 SOCOM are the largest gas gun barrels we make. So,
and different profiles too.
Yeah, we make different profiles. Some of them are our own profiles, and then we have customers that ask us to make specific barrels. So really the range of product right now is from 22 long rifle, the 1022.
In variety of lengths, this is an 18.
Yeah, up to 458 SOCOM. And then we recently put in a new lathe to manufacture bolt gun barrels. So John's got a 6mm Creedmoor in his hand right now, but we're making a variety of different calibers from basically we're making from 6mm up to what's the largest 7mm?
We've got in the bolt gun
308.
Well, clearly 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, the standard length action. And then we go up to 300 Win Mag is probably the biggest. And then the PRC variants of those are, but in long action, we're manufacturing. We do not currently make, we get this question a lot, we don't currently make a 50 cal.
Why not? Don't you want to test that? Get the accuracy.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Actually, we've seen requests for quotes. We also just made some minigun barrels.
Heck yeah.
So we know how to cut metal.
Yeah.
And we have a great team here.
We make pops. And so the
pops, lollipops. What are you talking about? Pipes.
We make
pops.
Oh my God.
East Tennessee.
Will you spell it? Got it.
P-I-P-S.
That's even worse.
But we make all kinds of pops. Most of what we do, and then we cut our teeth on AR-15. That's the vast majority of our market. AR-10 or SR-25 or LR-308, we make lots of those barrels. Again, as Jeff says, a lot of bolt gun barrels are in our mix now. But it was kind of cool. There's a few specialty stuff we just made. It's an M134, correct?
Yes.
M134 Gatling gun, basically.
What?
Barrels. Fantastic.
Now we get to go test them.
I was going to say, can I come for that
I desperately need a few of those to test. But I can't afford the ammunition.
No.
So I can just look at it. Some other neat stuff. We have made a few, what I'll call the special. Obviously, an AK platform. Made thousands and thousands of AK platform barrels. Galils of that variant. Interesting stuff. We made some Setme barrels. CETME.
I like the spelling. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to spell it for you.
It's helpful. Yeah. Well, and not
Smart
everyone
Alex.
listening will understand acronyms or something like that.
Yeah.
World we live in.
Yeah.
Setmiel is a Spanish. It was a Spanish army. You know what it is.
Yeah.
But
There's a 5.56 NATO variant. So, and again, as you say, Galils and a few other that are not as common. But it's a lot of fun stuff.
Now, you've got fluted in front of us that you showed. You also like fluted pistol barrel. What is this hex design?
That's exactly what
It's
that
just a
is.
hex design. It's just to look cool, though? Is there a purpose?
No.
Okay. It's just cool.
Yep.
Well, and then you have a whole finishing department. I know you make the barrels here, but you send out like the coating and the finishes, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Heat treat.
Nitride, and all that good
Correct.
stuff.
None of that's in-house.
But it's local.
Yes, correct. Well, the PVD coating is not local. That goes up to Richter Precision in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So,
The rest,
but the nitride coatings are local.
yeah, which is great. I mean, you're supporting this like economy here in Tennessee. I'm not from Knoxville, so I moved up here. I know neither of y'all are from here. You're from, yeah, y'all all moved.
Correct.
But I talk like that. I'm from Tennessee.
You're like
This
Alabama, Tennessee, sure. But like, how important was it to kind of pick a spot that had the infrastructure, that had like the ability to hire good people too, and be free? I mean, like I won't say lucky because we all chose to live here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think Tennessee is one of those places that is good for business. You're not having that state income tax, and there's a lot of value in being in states that are freedom-loving states.
Yes,
Correct.
but Knoxville is also, to tout Knoxville, the Oak Ridge area, East Tennessee. It's a great place
For bomb building. No, they did.
They do.
They do.
And they
yeah.
do. But it has the University of Tennessee's here.
Uh-huh.
TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, was at least regionally headquartered, and maybe the headquarters here in Knoxville. And Oak Ridge with the Manhattan Project.
And I got to say, a national park that kind of draws in a lot of people.
Well,
But yeah, no.
but when you talk about the University, TVA, and Oak Ridge, there's a large and now indigenous population of trained, scientists, engineers, machinists that have been here for generations.
Right.
And this is a lot of automotive is relocating to the south and East Tennessee in general.
Right. And we actually have attracted talent from outside of the Knoxville area. Our lead machinist is from Connecticut.
Yep.
We have folks that have moved down from Michigan, Indiana to work for us. Like
It's a better life anyways.
They saw the ads on Indeed or wherever we had them at the time, and they relocated themselves here to Knoxville because it is a great place to live.
And as you say, it's a freedom-loving state.
It is,
and good financial and
for sure,
a well-managed state.
Yeah.
Fiscally.
Now, an insight behind the curtain that I don't ever want to do is having employees, though. Like, how challenging was that to grow from 2 to 70 to manage 2 buildings and 2 different processes? And
you see that bald spot? You see this gray hair?
I know.
Every one of them was earned.
Yes.
Every one.
Did you ever imagine, though? I mean, that's where I'm getting at too. Is did you ever imagine that it would be as big as it is now?
Yeah. We thought we'd get here, and we have plans to grow it larger than this. It's just a matter of right now we're in a little bit of a down market, so it's a good time for us to evaluate manufacturing of new products and maybe go back to some of the roots that we had making other firearms components. We're very good at manufacturing metal components, and we want to do more of that. So it's in our plan. And the thing for us is responsible growth. We had some challenging times through COVID where we grew, I wouldn't say irresponsibly, but there were some difficult decisions and lots of long hours to make sure that we were getting product out to customers.
What's that mean?
So if we had to do it again, and for any listeners who are thinking about starting a business, there's something to setting up systems that the big guys have. There's a reason the big guys have certain systems. Now, some of it is bureaucratic. You have to be careful.
Sure.
Pick and choose. But rapidly growing, as we were blessed to do, without as robust systems, we could have done that better by setting that up 10 years ago.
Sure.
When you were 2 people.
Yeah.
You set up a time clock. You come in at the same time every day. You have lunch at the same time. These are simple things. But as you grow rapidly, it becomes more important. Are you ready for benefits?
Yeah.
What does that look like? Just think ahead.
And you have different shifts too.
And now we have multiple
Now
shifts.
that's stuff that's like hurts my brain is managing the shifts and how much are you guys running? Like the hours for
We run
manufacturing?
3 shifts.
3 shifts.
3 shifts. And hours are 4
Every day.
10s. No, 4 10s, Monday through Thursday. And
2
then-
shifts.
So 2 shifts, Monday through Thursday.
So 20 hours.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then we use that other, it's actually nominally 3 hours of downtime to do preventative maintenance on the machines
Okay.
at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Ew.
And then we run 312s on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
How much time have you spent at 3 o'clock in the morning up here?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah, during the COVID times when we were essentially sold out and I couldn't sell anything, I was over here helping manage the production, making sure we were getting product out the door. And I came in at 4 a.m. every day and left here about 7 p.m. every day.
Gross.
Yeah, so
And we shared an office and we used to sit about this close
That's where I wanted y'all the whole time.
and
we helped
in an
hands.
office.
Don't go too far.
And for a long time, I was at our old place. I had a little closet. I would sleep in the closet.
No.
I would.
No.
3 nights a week, just to say, particularly when at that time we were trying to get the second shift off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, if people are looking, some of it's luck, some of it's by design,
Yep.
but you eventually find good people who can take rope
Sure.
and not hang themselves. And there's the trick. Give them enough rope. Hopefully they don't hang themselves.
Would you do it all over again?
With Jeff.
that was so unlucky.
That's,
Poor Jeff. I mean,
not with him.
Yeah, right, I know.
I looked for a better business
Very
partner. That's
healthy.
when I was.
very healthy environment.
That's it.
We do have a very good corporate culture here.
Yeah.
We try and have fun. You know, we're serious, and something that really has changed. And as John was talking about the systems, we've gotten much better. The barrels that we make today are better than the barrels we made a year ago, are better than the barrels we made 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
So when you get a barrel from us today, it's better than the product you got from us before because of the systems that we put in place. Every manufacturing station in our shop, whether pistol barrel or rifle barrel building, has its own QA documentation that every single barrel goes through that QA documentation, and we chart statistical process control to make sure that our processes are in control and we're making great product coming out of these buildings. So it's been, like we talk about the growth, and we've outgrown people here too.
For sure.
Over time. And you hear about that in some of the entrepreneurial podcasts, that some of the people that you start the business with can't grow through the different milestones.
Can't graduate.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get the $1 million, the $5 million, the $10 million peaks, right? That you're trying to grow to those peaks. And some of those people aren't going to grow with you through those different milestones. And we've made hard decisions and letting people go that have been with us through the growth, and some of them have self-selected out.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
they didn't want to grow as we grew. And it's unfortunate because some of those are just absolutely wonderful people that I miss every day.
As
right?
friends.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
the
tough.
friends, and we had a machinist here that carry a huge Bowie knife on his side. And
Oh, he's great.
wore shorts year round, right? And he just always had that quick quip that made fun of you, and like you
need that too.
Yeah.
you do, and I miss him.
Yeah. But he made a decision, and I wish him well if he ever sees this.
Right.
He'll know who he's talking about. As we moved from the transitions, Jeff mentioned the transitions, that we started this and we were a job shop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what a lot of machinists start as. You
Right.
take a print, I'm holding a piece of paper. I need to make that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that's fun. I got a piece of paper. Now I need to make 200 of that part. It's a little bit different.
Sure.
Okay.
But then when you have that piece of paper, now I need to make 2,000 of that part. And we have reached a point, and we're blessed, that you hold that piece of paper and I need to make 10 to 20,000 of that part.
Yeah.
And so we've grown from a job shop through the transitions and have become a factory.
Yeah.
And some of those same guys, and that very guy was a great job shop person. And he made a decision as we moved toward a factory, but he made a decision he wanted to go back to some of that. I want to make 20 parts or 200 parts.
Yeah.
And that's where his passion was.
Sure.
And I wish him the best.
Yeah.
But I miss him.
Yeah.
Because he was a good friend.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yes.
Still talks to a lot of the folks around here.
He still is.
And we have a couple people that we trained how to make barrels.
And now they're
And
doing their thing.
now they work at Pacific Tool and Gauge making chamber reamers.
Yeah.
But they learned how to make a barrel here, and they had family back in Oregon that they were missing and needed to get back there. But they're still in the industry. They're still working. Now we're a customer of theirs. So it's just it absolutely is. And
well, and our industry is a little bit weird too, though. Like our firearms industry is that we're laughing because you see one person and one logo, and then the next week you're in a different show and they're in a whole different logo, and then they're back and then they're in a different one. Oh my gosh! Like I've never seen it kind of turn over before, but still in the same industry.
Sure.
Is that normal?
I think so. I think you see a lot of that in the outdoor space for sure, right? Like you might go work for, you might be at a company that makes accessories, and then you go to a gun company, and then you go back to the accessory market, or you go into manufacturing. So I think it's.
I too. I spent a lot of my career when I first knew we did with GE and others, but I cut my teeth in some nuclear medicine stuff.
That's beyond me.
Well, we used to. It was a fun game. We used to shoot protons at targets.
Okay.
And those were fun.
Be kind of cool.
But that's an interesting. You asked that dynamic, but those same people tend to stay. You develop an expertise, but you also develop a network of people.
Sure. Yeah.
And I have seen that in other industries.
Yeah. So, okay, I want to come back to the industry as well with you guys go to NRA and SHOT Show. You fly all over the country. That's the sales job.
They don't let me.
I think that's for the best.
I haven't seen sunshine. This is sun. What's the weather like?
He's lying, guys. There's a window right there. But like the people in this industry are incredible. So can you speak to kind of you getting to connect with manufacturers and build these kind of dreams, with their firearms that they want to have come to life, and what it's like connecting and how small of an industry too that we have, and just speak to all of that, because that's been a journey in and of itself, I'm sure.
Well, and I think the people, whether they're working for us or our customers, are the best part of the business. Making a part is making a part, but learning about a new platform or developing a new product for a specific customer here, it's fun. And then those relationships, you can't replace them, right? There's a lot of characters in the firearms industry, and it's just, and it's always fun going to the shows because you connect with those people, and our salespeople are great too. We've got a couple of really good salespeople that have a lot of industry knowledge that bring in some of these opportunities, and it's fun to travel with them and go see different customers. I was down in Texas a couple weeks ago and got to go see manufacturer's new site, and holy cow, it was super cool. So, those relationships are, they're good friends. We talk about business, but a lot of it is, hey, we just call each other on the weekend and, hey, what's going on? Are you shooting this weekend? Are you playing with your race car this weekend? So it's fun to just have those relationships. And I think that's the best part of the job, is just meeting new people and forming those relationships.
Well, a lot of people don't see the investment that, because I do similar stuff, that you make into showing up, honestly. Like, it's a ton of money that you guys spend in just connecting. And it's not something where you're going out to seek, like, what's in it for me? Like, why am I going there? What's in it for me? It's always just, hey, like, I'm showing up, connecting, seeing what's new. And like you said, you're calling them up on the weekends, just they're friends. Like, so business is just part of it. But, can you speak to that reinvestment of you traveling all over the country with a family still and married and kids, like having all of that. But the importance of just being in the right place, right time, and showing up.
Yeah. And that's, how my whole sales career has been, is, making those relationships and showing up. And it's kind of weird because during COVID, you weren't seeing people, you weren't talking to people. So I think
John was talking to himself.
during those,
Haven't stopped.
no, he hasn't. During those couple of years, like you lost that human interaction, and you weren't out at the range shooting with your customers, and you weren't going to the shows. And I think a lot of people have kind of stuck to that I'm staying home mentality.
Yeah.
I'm not going out to see customers.
Yeah.
And that's the exact opposite of what we're doing. You know,
Yeah.
I try and be on an airplane every week going somewhere, or be in my car somewhere going to see people. And yeah, I miss some time with my wife and kids, but it's important to the 70 families that we support here that we have enough business.
Yeah.
I mean, you asked a question earlier that we kind of circled around, how many barrels do we make here at Tactical Kinetics? Well, our installed capacity is to make 20,000 rifle barrels a month and 12,000 handgun barrels a month. So we have to maintain a very big order backlog to keep the machines filled and paid for.
Right.
So that's the importance of being out on the road, going to the different shows and seeing our customers and making sure that we know what projects they have coming up so we can support them
For sure.
and their businesses.
Yeah.
And I might add, back to the business incubation side, what fascinates me, if anybody's watching, that's also the most important part when you're starting. And it never stops being important. I'm pointing at Jeff because that's where he and I have worked good together. Generally, I could make something, but I was never very good at constantly being in front of the customer.
Sure.
And Jeff has been back to business incubation, start in systems, start that early. And it's not cheap. It costs the same amount when we have 70 employees and we make, and again, installed capacity somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000 total barrels to go to these shows as it did when I made 200 barrels.
100%.
But you still got to go.
100%. You got to go.
And if you're looking at business incubation, sell early and often.
And I think it speaks to like you've had to do sales without even knowing it, or you still
everybody's in
company.
sales.
Exactly.
Everyone in the company
don't get.
Everyone in the company is a salesperson. Whether you're talking to your neighbor or the local police department, whoever you're talking to as an individual, you represent the company, and what you think of the company translates out to the public. So we're pretty conscious of making sure that we keep our employees happy and
try hard.
and we care for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're part of our family.
You should see the culture here. It's fun to watch. It's good. But that's the stuff that I want to talk about with entrepreneurship is like, I've heard people like, oh, I'm going to hire a salesperson or I'm going to get a salesperson. There's no one that's going to speak to your product better than you. You're going to have to become that salesperson. I don't care if you're the most introverted person on planet Earth.
Nothing happens without sales.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me. But again, sometimes you meet somebody.
For sure.
At a bachelor party.
They're so cute. And it happens to be another dude.
He's my work wife.
This is true.
20 years ago. And but you get that. And I looked high and low for salespeople because again, I felt like my best and highest back in the day was not that.
Right.
But you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Nobody's got more passion than you, whoever you out there are, is of going, you've got to sell early and often.
Yeah.
And when you're busiest is exactly the time to sell.
Doing it more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, I didn't want to skip over this because we talked a little bit about it, but like American manufacturing isn't cheap. There's a lot of processes to this. Can you speak to then like the long form of how a barrel comes to be? This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
How does this happen?
we manufacture from bar stock.
Okay.
And bar stock is a round piece of metal. It comes from the mill many feet long. We cut it, and the next step is drilling, and they call it gun drilling. Gun drilling is euphemistic for anything that is deep compared to its diameter. Oil and gas, energy, lots of industries use gun drilling as a term. Where we take it to truly gun drilling is in a rifle, our next step is to ream it for a precision hole and then rifle it. The oil and gas industry clearly and others are rifling.
And then people have heard like button rifling and forward jump.
Cut rifling.
Yeah.
So there is difference. The old way to do this was hammer forging.
Yeah.
It was hammer forging. And it's still a way to do it.
Sure.
Huge machines just hammering a piece of material onto an arbor. And again, people are still plenty still use that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, particularly in the U.S., it's significantly more economically feasible to do what we do, which is button rifling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, there's magic to some of this, and that's one reason it is a high barrier to entry industry to get into. A lot of people, and again, I use the word pipe. A lot of people can make a pipe.
Sure.
A lot of people can make a tube with a hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
To do it well and such that it shoots well is an art, and there's science and engineering involved in it.
Yep.
So we start from bar stock, drill, ream, rifle, a rifle barrel. Very similar on pistol side, but we broach rifle in this facility. Now there is cut rifling, and that's generally for lower volume, often perceived higher accuracy, but there are plenty of tricks that you can get a button rifle to shoot very well.
Sure.
And our bolt guns can shoot. Again, good shooter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's most
good
important?
ammo?
What's the most important part of a gun, Kelsey?
Kenzie.
I
would still say the barrel. That's the foundation.
No, it's the person pulling the trigger.
Well, yeah.
It's the person.
But the barrel does matter.
It does matter.
So when I tell people, I think that it starts with the barrel. If you don't have a good barrel, But then the ammo is what I say number two.
Number two.
Then add good glass and the person. So I have
the ammo matched to the barrel.
The barrel.
Indeed so.
Yes to the person. But when I actually do teach this, when I'm like, okay, you got to have the good fundamentals. If you have a crap gun, or if you have a really high-end gun and crap glass, not going to happen.
That's it.
Really high-end glass, crap barrel, not going to work either.
Indeed.
And then if you put crap ammo,
yes.
So I actually harp on all of this.
Okay.
But yes,
good.
The shooter. And then that's what I tell people is like, so I go to these events and I shoot. It was so funny because like I'll shoot a pistol or whatever and I'll miss. And I'm like, I did that. And they're like, hold on. Did you blame yourself and not the gun or the optic? Because like all these guys go to these events and they blame this must not be zero. And it's like, no, when I miss, I know that it was me.
Well, and a good shooter can actually tell.
For sure. Before you even look at the target, I'm like,
he or she's pulled it. And we shoot a lot internally.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
No.
That's okay.
But we're passionate about this.
Yeah.
For quality purposes, we shoot a lot, and you've shot some of our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you're 100% right. The ammo. But a barrel's a big part of any gun.
So the shooter matters, but you gotta have the right parts, John. Okay.
A really big part.
Where were we at in the process?
We're making a barrel. We're making a
barrel.
And we're making a good pipe. And so that's
Well, we stopped at the rifling process.
Yeah.
We got distracted there.
We got distracted. Which happens a lot.
Kinsey did tell me. She said, "Hey, keep John on track."
It's really hard to do.
So then you turn the outside.
The profile.
It's already got a hole in it.
Contour,
it's a tube. It has and then it's contoured. The last step in the process is cut what we call the breech end of the chamber. And that's our process.
Yeah.
There are people who do different things. Again, back to hammer forging. They can cut or form the bores, grooves, and the chamber in the hammer forge process.
Oh wow.
And we do, if you want to see the actual process, Kenzie and I worked on a video of how to make a rifle barrel and how to make a pistol barrel. You can catch them on our YouTube channel.
So cool. Yeah. And that blew up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the process is neat. And I still don't know to this day how many steps that we walked through when we did that, but there are a ton of steps that people don't see. And then it even starts with a good material too. Mm-hmm. So like, I know you guys have 3 different rifle materials.
That's right. The alloys in this building.
So that's important to know too. And then all of the things that matter for me is going to be also like the gas length. So I like mid-length or intermediate. I mean, that's going to help softer shooting or what have you. If you want speed, now you got to look at the twist rate. Mm-hmm. So for people listening that are not gun barrel people, they're not the shooters, right? Mm-hmm. Can you explain a little, this is going to be technical, but I want it.
Okay.
Can you explain a little bit about why twist rate matters, length matters? Like what would somebody be looking for to shoot hunting versus recreational versus competition? Try to tackle that all in one.
So
It's important.
We really need Trevor for this.
I know. We'll make a video. I know.
Trevor does it.
No, I know.
Trevor's our engineer. And
Brilliant,
super smart.
Yeah.
So the length of a barrel has traditionally been associated with stabilization of the projectile, as has the twist. So one would think the longer, the better, the more stable. Now that's not always true, because the longer there are harmonics involved. When you pull the trigger, the end of the barrel knows something happened long before the bullet gets there, and it starts moving. So there is back to the concept of optimum ammunition. It's 100% right. There's an optimum length for the particular. Here in the U.S., we seem to have, and it's mostly by legal, have arrived at a 16-inch barrel.
Yeah,
for most
by
rifles.
legal, yeah.
In Canada, it has been 18-inch legal.
Sure.
And again, neither of those are wrong. In the 223 world, which is by far also probably the most common, you see bolt guns out to 26 inches or something.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It tends to stabilize. But if you go out, the bullet would actually start to slow down. There's not enough energy to continue to push.
Yeah.
And so you talk about 300 blackout. People want to shoot 300 blackout. Some of those optimums are around 10.5 inch.
Yeah.
Particularly if you want to shoot subsonic.
And with faster twist rates, right? Now we're seeing 1 in 5 twist rates in 300 blackout, but 8.6 blackout, we're seeing 1 in 3 twist. So
yeah, it's and there's a whole interesting study.
Twist rate, you need to explain to people, is basically 1 full revolution in that 3 inches of barrel.
Right.
Like just to explain to people. I'm trying to make this basic for people listening
and
too.
So 223, you often see 1 in 9, 1 in 8, 1 in 7.
Yep.
That means you 1 revolution in 8 inches if it's 1 in 8.
Yep.
And Jeff's right. Some of these are getting. There's a whole study in this.
I know.
Go back to the Civil War. Those things were 1 in 64. It was to stabilize that stuff.
Well, and you have video. I have a video from you of a rifling machine from the 1800s, where it's a wooden rifling machine with a little carbide button in it.
That's cool.
That the guy's hand pulling that.
Oh, heck no.
Through
With oil? No oil? Just
oil. But that's how they made rifles back in the day. Everything was hand, right?
Right.
So
and I could find that video.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's awesome.
That's cool.
So, this has come a long way. But again, looking at twist rates as late as the 60s, M16s were 1 in 12. 308s with M14s were like 1 in 12 or maybe higher than that. I'm maybe misquoting.
Yeah.
You rarely see a 308 that's not 1 in 10. Rarely.
Right.
There's some people shooting
different
that
stuff.
believe they've got magic. But you see 1 in 7, 1 in 8 as most common in 223. So back to stabilization. Get it long enough. And then the gas length, which is distance from there generally to this shoulder. There is pistol in the standard sizes: pistol, carbine, mid, and rifle.
And now a little intermediate.
And there's a bunch of intermediates.
And then little,
where everybody thinks they've got magic.
True.
And maybe there is.
Yeah.
But in general, the longer the gas length, the more time that projectile has to accelerate without bleeding any of that gas off. As soon as it sees that hole, a lot of that gas is gone.
Yep.
So I've got a Coyote gun, and we make a super good shooting 18-inch 223 that has a rifle length gas system. It's the best Coyote gun you could buy.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Get all the velocity you can get out of a 223, and the stabilization.
How many coyotes have you shot, John?
I can't stay up late enough to shoot. I bought a thermal, and I have yet to.
I'm sorry, what? And you haven't shot a single one?
I haven't.
I'm going to punch you.
I can't stay up late.
Then we're coming over.
See it. Yeah.
Oh, suppressed shooting and night hunting. Oh, it's addictive. It's addictive.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
okay. So anything else you want to say about that? Because I did want to dive in a little bit to the pistols as well. And no, you're good? Good. So basically science and math and data and all that. I mean, it is complicated to explain.
And there's an evolution, and people have just learned over time. Most of it's empirical. I think, rather than somebody sitting down and modeling this,
Sure.
Like at SpaceX and figuring out, where, supersonic flows going.
Yeah.
Most of this is empirical.
Yeah.
And, but people learn over a period of time what works well.
Sure.
And whoever's shooting a gun, if you're hunting coyotes or you're going to put holes in paper, figure out the ammo that works for you. Got to get out there and shoot.
100%. Okay, so diving into pistol barrels, and this is the new Gen 5 Glock 17 threaded barrel, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys make these, though, is it a similar process to the rifle barrels, or what does this look like to even create?
So the process is different. Same principles go into it, same quality standards go into it, but where a rifle barrel will travel through 9 machines, the handgun barrel travels through actually 5 machines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So a few less steps. There's more machining, more quality checks, I would say, that go into a handgun barrel versus a rifle barrel. It just process takes less time, but it's
arguably more sensitive.
Yeah, more sensitive.
Yeah.
Correct.
How do you even build like this part of it? I know you guys all do that in house, but that's
the control block.
Yeah.
It goes through 2 machining steps.
Okay.
One in a lathe, one in a 5-axis mill, and then it'll get tumbled and then honed. All the bores on our handgun barrels are honed, and then we broach them from there. Then it'll get blasted and go out for a coating.
They're really pretty.
The main difference, if for the layperson, would be we rifle at the end. That's almost the last process with a pistol, and we rifle a rifle barrel at the beginning.
Huh. Why the difference? Just that's how it's
just
done.
the way it is processed.
So why would anyone want to shoot suppressed? What did you learn?
Oh, it's fantastic.
So fun.
Yeah.
This is the 43X?
That is the 43X.
43X, yeah. Throw-it barrel. So Jeff and I went out to the range a couple weeks ago. Shot this suppressed with an Osprey on it, which was awesome. I had subsonics just in the truck. We had the night vision optics on it, but we didn't have the red dot yet. Right?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, so we didn't have the red dot, but this is super tricked out. Why would someone want to shoot or have a suppressed, handgun, especially at home? If you want to speak to some of those.
Ear protection, right? So shooting suppressed, you don't have to wear ear protection. We were at a local range that we needed it.
With peasants shooting unsuppressed nearby, we're like, ah.
Correct. But I mean, we've been with I've been with customers that have belt-fed machine guns with a suppressor on them, and you don't have to wear ear pro. It's fantastic.
It is.
So anytime that you can shoot suppressed, I mean, it's going to protect your hearing. I'm working on building a rifle for my son right now, and it's suppressed because I want him to have that experience. If he's out hunting, I've been out in the field hunting plenty of times with a shotgun and no ear pro, and my hearing's not great. So,
now they make suppressors for shotguns.
Now they make suppressors for shotguns, which for personal defense weapons, I think that's great. I'm not going to be shooting a suppressor out when I'm trying to shoot a duck or a dove. And,
be cool though.
Yeah.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Maybe.
No, but I think even the home defense application, but the felt recoil, I just want to dive into that a little bit, is amazing. So like if you're teaching, especially a kid, but a newer shooter, especially on handguns, because it's so intimidating. And these 43s, the smaller guns, just any combat gun, are horrible to shoot for new shooters because they recoil so much more. So when I'm teaching, I'm like, I want to do suppressed, I want to do a full-size handgun, 22s would be great, before I put them behind these, because they're snappy. I mean, and they're intimidating. Shoot a suppressor and it's not bad.
Correct.
Anything else you guys want to say about American manufacturing too?
Yeah.
That's what people don't know.
There's, over the last several years, there has been a return, and I think it's good, of manufacturing to the U.S. All the economic drivers and so on, beyond the scope of this, and I don't pretend to understand a lot of it, but I'm delighted that a lot of this is in fact returning, and guns are just one of those that are it has been an easy one for government bureaucracies to dictate certain percentages need to be made in the U.S. And then the consumer market has definitely accepted that and been even embraced it. So, but I think you continue to see plenty of automotive being manufactured here, or certainly in North America. And a lot of gun parts are still made here, even though there's still some things made overseas.
For sure. Yeah.
Remind me, is it 914R? It dictates a certain number of parts in a firearm that need to be of U.S. origin, and generally a barrel's one of those parts.
we
manufacture barrels. We don't make full firearms, but as we graduate, and if we do make full firearms, I want that percentage of parts that are going into the products that we make to be 100% American made.
Yeah.
So.
And the costs, you guys are reasonably cost barrels too, like way too reasonably. I almost think that maybe it's underpriced, but because normally, you see a little bit higher pricing with the American market and things manufactured in the USA. And people are willing to pay those too.
Correct. In many cases. Even our steel is of domestic origin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Most of it's made in Michigan.
Good old Michigan.
Good old Michigan.
Well, guys, is there anything that we didn't talk about, didn't cover, anything you want to mention?
I think we got the bulk of what we wanted to talk about here. We didn't focus on the SIG market, but
dive in.
Yeah,
this is a little bit newer for us. I'm probably a year old, but SIG P365s, 320s, 320 X5 Legions. So any of the SIG product can generally be found on our website, or if you don't see it there, shoot us an email at sales@tacticalkinetics.com, and we're happy to tell you if it's available. If it doesn't show up there, again, a lot of the product we make is for other people.
Sure.
So we don't focus as much on making sure all those products are on our website. So if you don't see something, certainly ask.
So there's some chick now in charge of your marketing, but for if you don't know, reach out, DM, follow us on Instagram, Facebook with Tactical Kinetics, and then the YouTube channel. We're going to be producing more content and seeing behind the scenes, which has been awesome, of what we do at Tactical Kinetics, because I'm still learning, and I thought I knew rifle barrels, sort of, and then poof, I know nothing. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks, listeners. Stay tuned next week for an all-new episode of the Reticle Up Podcast, and don't forget to check out tacticalkinetics.com.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3Gun Kenzie.